This is Dr. Andrew Jones, and this is Snowball. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to show you how to read a cat food label and how you can decide whether or not the food you're feeding your cat is good. Hi you guys. Currently I'm still at my brother's farm, hence I'm in his house, and it's where I'm shooting today's video. And I'm using their cat, this is Snowball, who's a wonderful cat by the way, as my model demonstration cat. So in today's video I'm going to actually show you, we're going to pick up a bag of cat food as well as a can, go over the ingredients, go over 3 basic ways that you can look at the label on a food, whether it's canned or dry, and make a decision. Is this a good food to feed to my cat or not? So what I've done is go pick up Snowball's canned and dry food. I'm going to look at the ingredients, read the labels, help you then be able to read your own cat food's label and get an understanding, is this good food or not. So the first big tip, and obviously the biggest obvious thing, is beyond all the variety of different things you've read in terms of looking at price, etc., 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 the marketing, the pictures on the bag, is you got to read the ingredients. Like, regardless of where you buy the food, how much it costs, what it says, the big glossy words on the outside, you know, such as this saying it's got the highest level of protein with real chicken. First thing, the obvious thing, read the ingredients. So on this food here, I'm going to read you what all the ingredients are. Then you get a sense of, okay, is this a food you should be feeding your cat or not? So the first ingredient is chicken byproduct meal. Then we're looking at ground yellow corn, corn gluten meal, more corn, soybean meal, ground up soybean, animal fat, which is preserved with BHA and citric acid, wheat, meat and bone meal, flavor, chicken, wheat flour, rice salt, it's got caramel as coloring, and then some trace vitamins and minerals that are in there. The first point is that we want to see a quality animal protein is sort of the first or second ingredient. This is chicken byproduct meal. It doesn't count. Secondly, we want to see far less carbohydrates, in terms of ideally no carbohydrates. You know, our cats have a whole number of different things different with them than dogs. Meaning they have no, there's an enzyme called amylase which helps break down the starch, such as the carbohydrates. They have no amylase in their saliva. It's called salivary amylase. They have 5 and 10% of the pancreatic and intestinal amylase as dogs do. So this enzyme is found and produced in different areas. They almost have none of that within their body, like limiting their ability to break down carbohydrates. They also lack an enzyme called glucokinase in their liver. Lack an enzyme, they just don't have it because their body was developed very differently than dogs. So meaning that after they consume a high carbohydrate meal, such as this, what's in this food here, where it's got the ground yellow corn, corn gluten meal, soybean meal, wheat, excessive amounts of carbohydrates, which are in this dry food itself, they don't have the glucokinase. I mean, they see this huge glucose spike, and their body can't break that. They can't store that glucose immediately. So by repeatedly eating that carbohydrate, they're flooding their body with all this glucose. Their body lack the ability to then take that into the cells, and that overworks. What's one organ overworks? Their pancreas. And if the pancreas can't produce enough insulin to break it down, what happens? Ultimately, we see these cats that become overweight, secondarily diabetic, third, all the issues relating to having excessive weight, be it cardiac disease, be it arthritis, etc. The other big thing I want to say around kibble period is ideally you are not feeding your cat kibble. If they're going to be eating kibble, it's minimal there as a snack. And I really suggest that if you're going to be feeding kibble, you measure the amount, maybe feed it once a day, but in a measured amount, not free feeding it. That you look at feeding your cat far more canned food that's much more resembles what your cat would eat in the wild. So for instance here, then I just went into the fridge, hello, Come here, Snowball. And I got the canned food out of the fridge. And interesting, I'll read you the first ingredients in all of this. The first ingredient is meat byproducts, poultry byproducts, beef, natural flavor. There's other things in there that are somewhat concerning, such as whatever natural flavor is. Sodium tripolyphosphate, carrageenan, so that's a binding agent. Another binding agent, xanthine gum. There's got some questionable ingredients in it, but primarily you're just dealing with animal protein, which much more resembles what your cat would be eating in the wild. Secondly, too, it's primarily moisture. You're looking like, when you look here in the guaranteed analysis, we're looking at maximum moisture of 80%, versus virtually no moisture in this. A cat in the wild, they get most of their moisture from their prey that they're hunting. You know, be it birds, be it mice. And they don't naturally drink. But first you've got to read the ingredients. So regardless of the food you're feeding, read the ingredients. You're looking at the bag, you're going to read the ingredients. What's in it? 2, when you're looking at those ingredients, you want to see an animal protein in one of the first 2 listings. This has a questionable protein, chicken byproduct meal, but you want to see chicken meal, beef, fish, or something like that within the first 2 ingredients. You don't want to see them, preferably you don't want to see any byproducts, really poor quality. You don't want to see any animal digest. You want to see like quality protein that's digestible so that your cat can break that down. It's going to have all the amino acids, all the nutrients that they need so that they can be healthy. Secondly, when you're looking at ingredients, you want to see carbohydrates way down on the list. You don't want to see them as the 2nd, 3rd, 4th ingredients. 4th, you want to make sure there's no soybean in it. This has soybean meal. There's some big thoughts now that soy is tied into thyroid disease in cats, so hyperthyroidism. It's got soy in there. 4th, we sure don't want to see corn. We have 2 different sections here: ground yellow corn, corn gluten meal. 5th, you want to look at natural preservatives, not here where it's preserved with BHA, potentially toxic preservative. 6th, we want no artificial flavor or artificial color. And here it has got caramel and the artificial color. Whole variety of different things in terms of looking at it. So those are some of my big tips. Next 2, less kibble, period. All right, so here we are. This is kibble itself. You're feeding your cat far less kibble. So we want to make sure that they're able to eat a food that much more resembles what they'd eat in the wild. Because 1, we want to make sure they have adequate protein, which they're going to get from the canned food. 2, we want to make sure they have adequate moisture, which they're going to get from the canned food. So meaning the 3rd big tip is that you're actually feeding, and you're feeding more canned food. Now I want to do a Snowball taste test. Here's Snowball again, if you guys can see her. And we're going to put some dry food in a bowl. Snowball, come here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Psst. You, of course, she's being a cat, so she's not necessarily going to comply with my idea. I put some canned food in a bowl. Come here, Snowball. And let's just see what Snowball is going to eat. So Snowball has 2 choices. She can go for the yummy canned food, the dry food. Let's put it down and see what the kitty cat goes for. My scientific study has now been borne out. Snowball, the farm cat, prefers canned over dry. Thank you guys for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. I hope you've learned something from it in amongst my ramblings. Thanks, Snowball. If you've yet to do so, I encourage you to subscribe. You can do so by clicking that link in the box above. Then as well, too, I want to let you know that I'm having an upcoming webinar on cat health and nutrition. Specifically, I'm dealing with food, cat food itself, how to choose a quality cat food, what you should be looking into, and I'm going to expand on much more than this video, exactly what you need to be looking into choosing a quality cat food versus not, along with all those variety of different diseases that are really correlated and linked with food itself, and what you can do differently, along with a whole variety of different remedies. So my webinar sign up is at thecatsupplement.com/webinar, and I'll put a link under today's video too. Once again, thanks for watching. I look forward to talking to you again next week. This is Dr. Andrew Jones.